everyone. My name's Renee Brooke. I'll call to order the July 27th, 2022 Staff Hearing Officer meeting for the City of Santa Barbara. Working through preliminary matters, the first item is any requests for continuances, withdrawals, postponements, or addition of ex-agenda items. I don't have any, and I don't believe we have any from others, so we'll move on to item B, which is announcements and appeals. And the only announcement I have on this part of the agenda is regarding a project at 205 Mohawk Road. This is one of those accessory dwelling unit projects in the coastal zone where staff has done all the analysis, determined that the project as proposed can be found consistent with our local coastal program policies. And in cases such as that, the role of the staff hearing officer is simply to announce a decision. There is no public hearing. We do provide public notice, and I have not received any public correspondence on this project. I agree with the staff's analysis and findings in the staff report, and I did go by the site, and I am familiar with the area, so I'm comfortable making the announcement to approve the coastal development permit as described in the staff report. And so with that, I'll move on to the first item of item 2 on the agenda. 2A is 36 La Flecha Lane. And Ms. Broadison, if you'd like to give the staff presentation on this.
Did you want to open up general public?
I'm so sorry. I skipped that. I skipped item C on preliminary matters. I apologize. So backing up, are there any comments from members of the public pertaining to items that are not on today's agenda?
I did not receive any speaker slips, and there are no remote public commenters, but we did receive 2 general public comments from Ken and Susan Tarlow and Brandon Sterling. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fennessy, for reminding me of that. So I'll close the general public comment portion of the preliminary matters, and then now we'll move on to the 2 projects on the main part of the agenda today, beginning with 36 La Flecha Lane.
Good morning, Kelly Broadison, assigned case planner for this project at 36 La Flecha Lane. The 9,500 square foot site is developed with a 2,000 square foot single family residence and an attached 305 square foot garage. The project involves remodeling the existing residence and a 66 square foot addition to the main house. And they also want to increase the size of the garage by deepening it into the existing house. The back of the garage would go into the main house, not encroaching more into the front of the setback. Let's see, just to go through the modifications, a fairly minor addition to the front of the house. However, this project is located in the Upper State Street study and has a 25-foot front setback. And you can see here, the public right-of-way ends approximately, let's see. So the 25 feet would be measured from the edge of the public right-of-way. So here's the edge of the public right-of-way, 10 feet from the center line, and then the 25-foot setback is along this line here. So the existing garage currently encroaches into the front setback. It's legal non-conforming. And the request is for a minor addition to the kitchen area, and staff is supportive of this request. It's a minor addition to the front of the house. It will encroach approximately 13 feet into the front setback and will be constructed within the existing recessed front porch roof. The kitchen addition will allow for an upgrade to the existing residence and appropriate improvement to the home. Staff believes that this request is supportable as it is consistent with the purposes and intent of the municipal code and is necessary to secure an appropriate improvement on the site, and it will not have a negative impact on the adjacent neighbors or surrounding neighborhood. So staff recommends that the staff hearing officer approve this modification request, making findings in the staff report. That concludes staff's presentation, and I believe we have the applicant here to make a presentation.
Certainly, thank you. If the applicant would like to come up and provide any additional information, please do. If you wouldn't mind stating your name first, too. Thank you.
I'm Sue Steniken. I'm from Windward Design, so I'm representing the applicant on this matter. I just wanted to say that of the small addition to the kitchen, which is about 66 square feet, only about 13 square feet of it is actually in the setback area. I mean, if the proposal wasn't approved, we would probably still do this addition and have a funny little 1-foot deep recess there. So it's not a huge change between as of right and what we're asking. And it still has a recessed porch, so the way the house looks from the street isn't really changing. On the other hand, we're also deepening the garage so you can actually park cars in it, and that will improve the neighborhood in terms of how the front of the house looks on the street.
Great. Thank you very much. And thank you for pointing out the fact how minor the encroachment is of the addition into the front setback. I don't have any questions, so I'll open public comment for this item. We didn't receive any written correspondence.
Thank you. I have not received any speaker slips, and there are no remote public comments.
Thank you. So I'll close public comment. I did drive through the neighborhood and went by the site earlier this week and saw general pattern of development. I mean, obviously subject to that somewhat large front setback. A lot of the houses are set back that distance, but there are some that are either undergoing remodel or some other type of improvement at this point. That this proposed addition with very minor amount of square footage in the front setback is not going to be incompatible with what you see in that neighborhood, and I can appreciate how it would make overall use of the house more just improved for its residents. So I can approve the front setback modification with the given the analysis in the staff report and the findings as drafted. So with that decision to approve and there are no conditions on this one, I believe. No conditions on this one. And it's not subject to single-family design board. So with this modification, it would be your final decision before submitting to the Building and Safety Division for a permit. So with that, I do have to announce the appeal process, though, that my decision to approve the front setback modification is subject to a 10-day appeal period. Someone may appeal my decision within that time, or the Planning Commission also has an ability to call up any decisions of the staff hearing officer if they decide that they want to hear the matter in front of them. If either of those things happen, Ms. Broadison would let you know. Thank you. Okay, and then the next item is 318 Oceano Avenue. Ms. Plummer.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Brooke. So the purpose of today's hearing is to review an open yard modification request associated with a property at 318 Oceano Avenue. I just wanted to start off with some photos so you can get some context. The existing neighborhood is comprised of 1- and 2-story either apartment buildings or single-unit residences. This is the subject lot. Directly adjacent to the site is a driveway. This is an apartment building here, so not a residence directly located next to it. It's just the driveway. And then these photos here just show the existing house. It's a pretty small lot, just going to the site plan, at 3,907 square feet. And the existing residence is only 662 square feet. As part of the project, the owners are hoping to expand the existing residence a little bit, do an interior remodel, but I think the bigger part of the project is there is no permitted parking on site. They're non-conforming to parking. so with 0 spaces on the project site. And as you can see here, they're proposing a 2-story addition comprised of a 449 square foot garage at the lower floor, which will make the site conforming to parking, and a 2-story addition above, which connects to the existing residence, comprised of 2 bedrooms and a little nursery/office area. So in essence, just expanding, the livability of the existing residence. Again, because the site is so constrained in that it's only 3,907 square feet, they are pretty limited as far as where their open yard areas can be. In the existing configuration, which is this, they have the existing residence, and then they have a driveway. It does say existing parking here. What I do want to clarify is, like I said, there is no parking on site, but it has been historically used for parking by the owners, and this particular space, as identified, is the most usable open yard space in terms of how staff looks at open yard, which is it needs to be outside of the front setback, and it needs to have 20 by 20 dimensions, and needs to provide 1,250 square feet of open yard, which they're exceeding. So with this new project, they will be eliminating the area that staff sees as the most usable open yard space and going to this configuration, which again, open yard cannot be within the front setback, so the only areas that will qualify or closely qualify are A and B. So an area behind the proposed addition and this area, the side yard. During staff's site visit, I went out and looked at this area, and it's currently used as outdoor living space very clearly by the owners. In addition, there is a front porch, which is not included in the FAR count, in the open yard count by staff because it's in the front yard, but it can definitely be used as open yard space. And just to clarify, so open yard is essentially usable outdoor living space or to provide visual relief on a property. Staff is supportive of the proposed request with these 2 combined areas. You're looking at 989 square feet of open yard space that will be maintained on this lot. And staff is supportive of the request while these areas don't meet the minimum size dimensions. They are going to be providing conforming parking on a property that is currently non-conforming to parking in a neighborhood that is pretty limited as far as off-street parking, on-street parking goes. It's permit parking only. I didn't cover this earlier, but it's in very close proximity to Santa Barbara City College. In addition, the project site is located to a number of outdoor amenities such as Ledbetter Beach, Shoreline Park, Pershing Park, West Beach, the Harbor, and the Mesa Shopping Center, all of which can serve for outdoor enjoyment and use. And just covering the design review that has occurred. The project was reviewed by the Single Family Design Board late last year, and they were generally supportive of the project, again, given the constraints of the lot. I think what was particularly notable for them is the preservation of the existing 1-story character of the residence. They're not changing anything about that, other than a connecting addition at the back as part of the interior remodel to connect the new garage and second floor to that residence. I think the board was really appreciative of the bulk being towards the driveway and easements that are located on this side of the lot, rather than towards the other residential development on the other side. So once provided, the open yard modification were to be approved, it would go back to the Single Family Design Board for both project design and final approval. In addition, the project site is located in the prehistoric watercourse buffer, so the applicant did prepare an archaeological resources report, which was accepted by staff, and there are conditions on this project that in the unlikely discovery of unanticipated archaeological resources, that they stop work. So that's a standard condition and will be required to be printed on the building permit plans as part of the project. I believe that concludes all of my presentation. And if you have any questions, I'm here for that.
Thank you, Ms. Plummer. I just have two questions. Mentioned in the staff report some easements that also add to the constraints on the lot. Can you just show me where those are? Are those all related to the driveway to the north, or?
They're not all to the driveway to the north, but the majority of them are. So this area here kind of shows where they are on the plan. There's a 5-foot easement for road purposes right here. There's a 12-foot access easement, again, relative to the driveway and access there. And then there is on this side another easement, so they can't build over in that section either. So they're pretty much trying to maximize what they can relative to those easements on the property.
Okay, and then both the existing and then with the proposed addition, they're not non-conforming to any setbacks,
They
right?
are actually, yes. So the new addition is all conforming. The existing residence is non-conforming. Thanks for bringing that up. So you can see that a portion of the residence porch does extend beyond the 15-foot setback.
Okay.
But again, since they are not proposing demo rebuild or any real changes to this particular structure, it's allowed to maintain that
Got
without
it.
any
Okay, so just the
modifications.
front setback.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I don't think I have any other questions for staff. I might have a question or two for the applicant, so if they wouldn't mind coming up, and if you also wanted to add any more to the presentation. Thank you.
Hi, Joe Sewer with Studio 4 Design Group. Okay. I think the only thing that I would add is, I know there's no approved parking on the site, but that is where they park. And so we're essentially just. I think it's not on.
Or closer?
Says it's green light.
Okay,
So essentially where we're putting the addition is where they currently park, so the garage itself is the footprint of where they currently park, and so the addition is actually above where they typically park. So they're not really taking away from the outdoor space that they would be using, because that's where they park. As she mentioned, that space over on the right of the building is where they
sorry, they keep calling us for some, there you go.
All right. Oh, yeah. I can hear that go. So essentially I'll just repeat what I said, is the two-story addition is where they currently park. And so their outdoor space is on the ocean side of the house, which is to the right. And that's where she mentioned that's where they are set up for their outdoor use of the property. I guess what we are adding, which doesn't really count to the open, is there's a second floor deck that comes off the front of the house. And as you can see with all the easements, there's really not a lot of places where we can build on this small lot.
Okay, thank you. I do have a question about access to the open yard. I was surprised to see that there's no doors directly from the house into the yard area. So how is it used now? Because I did go by the site and I drove around and walked around, but I didn't get on the property and into the side setback. As Ms. Plummer said, right now, that area to the south is currently being used as we would expect open yard. I was just surprised that, do they just get there from the front door and that's
Yeah,
their
it's a-
main way?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
tiny building, so walking out any side of the building
Okay.
puts you pretty much right where you need to be. But they do currently walk out the front door, and there's a set of steps off of that front patio that goes directly into that yard.
Okay.
And then we also have a door coming out of the new garage addition that goes to the backyard.
Sure. And the reason I was asking Ms. Plummer about whether or not the building is non-conforming to any interior setbacks is that in the future, if they decide that they want to add doors instead of windows in there, that could be a fairly straightforward process. as we're looking for trying to meet the intent of open yard, I was wanting to help them think through, I guess, how they might access it. So
As a
thank-
comment to that, or as a response to that, if you did, you would be doing it out of the living room to the right, directly into that space. And because it's a raised
Mm-hmm.
floor, they would be taking up a good portion of their space
Got
just
it.
in
Just
steps
to
to
get
get
there.
down. But
Okay.
yes, that's a good idea.
that makes sense. Okay, so I don't have any other questions, so I'll go to public comment on this item. I did not receive any written correspondence. I don't know if we have anyone online.
Thank you. We did not receive any speaker subs, and we do not have any remote public commenters.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fennessy. So I'll close public comment. As I mentioned, I did go by the site and drove around the neighborhood to get a feel for it. It's quite a mix of single-story, multi-unit apartment buildings. So quite a collection of different sizes and types of housing. I do appreciate how undersized the lot is. As Ms. Plummer said, it's about 3,900 square feet in a zone that has a minimum lot size of 7,000 square feet. So just, again, pointing to the constraints of the site. So I can support the open yard modification as staff has analyzed it in the report and the findings drafted. Let me just get to there's one condition. I think we just wanted to be clear. That condition about unanticipated discovery of archaeological resources, typically we would also have that reproduced on the plans so that all contractors and everyone is aware of that condition on the job set of plans. So we would just, that might just be a building permit plan check addition for you. So with that, I can approve the open yard modification with the findings as drafted and that one condition of approval. And again, like before, I have to announce the appeal process in case anyone wants to appeal my decision to approve the open yard modification. They would do that within 10 calendar days, and in the same time, the Planning Commission could pull up a decision of the staff hearing officer within that same period if they decided that they wanted to rehear the item at their level. If either of those things happen, Ms. Plummer would let you know. Other than that, I'm concluding this item. And that is the last item on the agenda, so I will adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.